Hey, Sage, calm down. So, I saw a news article pop up last night, and I read a little bit of it. And I just wanted to get a little sneak peek into what the hell was going on. Because apparently, a breeder in, well, near Grand Rapids, they say like outside of Grand Rapids, but that could mean like a township within Grand Rapids radius or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Near where I live, they have created a new, like, super potent strain. And apparently, it's 41% THC. See if we can get it to pop up. News about 41% THC in Michigan. So they're claiming over 40%, which is absolutely unheard of. What's up, AB and certified old guy? So I'm not sure if it's a local breeder or anything. I hope they go over that in the article. I also think it would be really fun to get seeds from this person and see maybe if I could reach out to them and get something. Thank you to everyone who's joining. Holy shit. Ricky Bobby Williams, Tim Yak, AB, certified old guy, Todd Wilson. Welcome to the chat. I hope everyone is having a great morning and we can learn a little bit about weed. Now, from what I read, I wasn't sure if they have had testing done or if they're just kind of talking out of their ass. So I would love to have something like clear up the air a little bit maybe and see what we can really learn about this. So Adrian, Michigan, if THC potential had a sound barrier, New Michigan marijuana strain should be named Chuck Yeager. Instead, it's named Frogurt, produced by Endo, which operates in grow facilities and retail stores in Adrian. Lab tests shared with M Live show the strain surpassed 41% potency, a threshold previously thought impossible to surpass. So it looks like it was tested, and this is a fucking paid article. Nope, never mind. I've seen fucking articles where it's like, oh, continue reading, pay for a subscription. The potentially record-breaking weed has garnered a large amount of attention on social media, including from skeptics who question the validity of the test results. I even questioned it, said Jason Heron, who grew it. Heron, who started growing as a medical marijuana caregiver in 2010 before becoming Endo's director of cultivation, said the strain was tested 3 times, each result surpassing 40%, one approaching 42%. He said his grows flower regularly reaches potencies in the high 30s, but this is the first over 40. So what do we think about that so far? Because he said it's been tested 3 times and each time came over 40%. And if we can take his word on that, that's pretty fucking crazy. What are the strains crossed with? We might get into that. I know pretty much just as much as you guys at this point. The Frogurt strain, who the fuck knows? Some names can be super obvious. It's like, oh, well, with that kind of name, its parents are probably this and that. But a lot of people are making comments saying it's not possible. Heron said he's been accused of spraying marijuana with high potency THC or sprinkling on keef, highly potent plant residue to inflate results. I can guarantee none of that happened. He said, I don't ever want to be accused of cheating. That's what's bothered me with some of this stuff. Cheaters also don't want to be accused of cheating, but, you know, it's a weird situation for sure. And then the people who doubt it, what would it take to prove it to you? You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I know that I know what I do in the garden. I don't cheat. Heron said he's always had marijuana always had the marijuana his company grow tested in North Coast Testing Laboratories in Adrian and a business he fully trusts. According to CRA records, North Coast Testing Laboratories first received its license in July 2020 and has never been the subject of a CRA complaint, according to online regulatory records. There are online claims the Cannabis Regulatory Agency is double checking the test results, although representatives would confirm or refute rumors. The train is worth a fortune. Some major corporation. He's not giving it up. I don't know, man. If he's doing major corpo stuff, I would personally think it's worth it to sell seeds, but I also have cultivators' interests in mind. So maybe he will just keep it and sell it in his own dispensaries, and this is just going to be a bar for us to pass as growers and breeders on our own to see that it is possible, it can be done. So how exactly are we going to do it? We can't comment on open investigation, CRA spokesman David Harn said. Heron said he is not notified if the CRA collected additional samples from third-party testing. The potency questions that Frogurt faces similarly arose when Loom released a strain claiming greater than 40% potency in June 2022. So this has happened before. And apparently I haven't heard of it. I've also never heard of it until this article. What's up, Dro? Good to see you, man. How's life treating you? A now defunct testing lab retested that strain called Jenny Kush that was purchased from a cannabis store, and results showed it really contained 26% THC. Much less than what was advertised. If you told me an orange was 50% vitamin C, I just wouldn't believe you, said Jackson-based Infinite Chemical Analysis Lab manager David Ergton, who's among the Frogurt potency debuters. What is the content of vitamin C comparable to THC in weed? Is that like a valid claim or complaint? Because, like, I get what he's trying to say, but, like, are those actually in the same universe when it comes to ratios of vitamin C to orange and THC to bud? We've always seen that kind of upper threshold of THC cannabis flower tends to be about 35%. Yeah, but then also when I heard of over 30 for the first time, I was mind blown because high to me was 25. And I imagine back in the 90s and 80s, people didn't even know about THC percentages, and if they did, it was probably in between 15 and 20 was your high stuff. Like, things change, and we've been breeding for high THC for a long time. So if you can get a strain that's like 45% cannabinoids and 41 of them, like 41% of it is THC, I don't think that's implausible. But I also don't know off the top of my head what like the high like total cannabinoid percentage is. I read them on like containers sometimes, but I haven't really paid attention to the numbers because the other cannabinoids are usually so negligible compared to THC that it's not even worth reading into. There's been a number of occasions where we pulled flower that was incessantly 35 to 40% off their shelf, and we routinely find that the actual number is substantially flower. Edgerton said, There's 1,000 different ways to end up with a higher number, but only one real way to do it correctly. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is really outside of the realm of just random error and verification. Variation? To Edgerton and many in the industry, this suggests growers and labs are sometimes conspiring to inflate THC. But why? It's about profits. And yeah, comes back to profits, man. People gotta make their fucking money. Because marijuana flower prices are so closely linked to THC amounts, which is fucking stupid bullshit. Higher the better, reports the potency inflation and have plagued nearly every legal marijuana market in the US. So yes, we do have reason to believe that there's a possibility that someone would lie about their THC numbers. And we also have record that it's happened in the past. So it's worth an investigation. Potency is one of the few metrics customers see on packaging, and they equate higher number to a more intense high, although most say that's a faulty conclusion. The huge spike in marijuana potency over recent decades is illustrated by DEA data that found and tested marijuana average just under 4% THC in 1995 compared to nearly 16% in 2022. So exactly what I was saying, like that old weed, like it had a different ceiling than we do now. The CRA declined to provide potency data related to the Michigan market. We reviewed and audit potency data routinely, Harn said. In order to not give away investigative techniques, we will not comment further. Lame and dumb. Start being transparent. Share your methods. Increase the game. Make it better. Inspire competition. Uneducated customers, that's really how they gauge the product. Heron said THC is not everything. It's a portion of what gives strain good quality. Despite that, potent marijuana continues to bring the most profit, which insiders say lead to labs. So basically, this article is really striking me as like, you have to talk about a very niche topic that we don't know about. We don't know a lot about it. But you have to hit 1,500 words. You gotta hit that. So put in a bunch of bullshit and don't actually address what the hell is going on. Just talk about a bunch of other shit. I'll keep reading though, because it is interesting. Potent marijuana continues to get the most profits, which insiders say lead labs and growers to manipulate potency. The problem is compounded by desperation caused by the industry's glut of excess marijuana, not nosediving prices. Since labs are beholden to the growers, their businesses is negatively impact if their grower moves to another lab seeking higher THC potency results, a phenomenon called lab shopping, which is fucking AIDS in short. Have you seen that Cheech and Chong are selling 7 is it 70H or is it 70H on their website, which is super addictive and literally basically legal heroin. They say they don't have anything showing how. Oh, we can look into that after this. That's pretty fucking interesting. I saw a video of Goblin smoking one of those carts, and I saw a short, so I didn't really get to see like the effects report or anything like that, but it looked fucking like he was not having a good time. Accuracy in the testing world isn't always lucrative. Edgerton said it's been an ongoing problem for several years now, but it doesn't seem to be getting much better, unfortunately. Some techniques Edgerton said, must be used to artificially inflate test results, including manipulating the sample by intentionally proportioning it so that the results are higher, adding high potency material like Keith, using incorrectly calibrated lab equipment, and staging samples so higher potency marijuana is used in testing. It's supposed to be kratom extract. I used the powder, but the extract is a different beast. I've never used kratom. I've been interested in using it. Kratom, whatever, however you want to pronounce it. I think kratom sounds really fucking cool. But yeah, I haven't tried kratom. I've thought about it. I know a lot of like bodybuilders use it to like help with their workouts, and I've been trying to work out a lot more regularly, even though, you know, sometimes I don't because I'm lazy, but whatever, man. But other than a bodybuilding environment, I don't know if I would want to use something like that, but I also have never used it, so I don't know. I've seen the video myself. It was whack and crazy. They are push products like that. Like the Galaxy Gas. Yeah, the Galaxy Gas was really fucking stupid. Because, like, let me ask you guys a question, because I genuinely don't know. Is there a difference between Galaxy Gas, other than the flavors, and just buying, like, a whipped cream canister? Like, is there a big difference there? Is it, like, a potency thing with the nitrous oxide or whatever it is? Is it, like, they just like the flavors? Was it literally just marketing? Like, what was it? I wouldn't touch it. It helped me get off hard stuff, but now I'm addicted to kratom. I don't really have an addiction problem with many things. Like, the only things I ever really go back to are caffeine and weed. That's pretty much it. And the weed's because it actually does benefit me, and the caffeine is just because I'm cripplingly addicted to the stimulant. But I have been able to cut back significantly. I used to drink fucking 300 to 600 milligrams of caffeine a day, and now I drink maybe 112 or whatever. Like, whatever 2 cups of coffee is, that's like my normal now, instead of like drinking multiple energy drinks. But I'm not like, I don't get addicted to drugs like that, you know what I mean? Personally, but anyone who's like has an addictive personality or has a history being addicted to drugs, I wouldn't recommend most drugs to them, because that just is a recipe for disaster. The worst things for a drug addict are drugs and money. Those are the worst things to give a drug addict. And that's just because they'll buy more drugs. I don't want to say that they shouldn't have access to money, but they should learn to use it responsibly. Okay, so it just has more flavors instead of just straight gas or whipped cream flavor. I guess that makes sense. But I like drugs and money. You do you, man. As long as you're not like, as long as you don't have a crippling addiction and it's not ruining your life, like, you do you. But if you're taking it to an unhealthy place, like your family is suffering, or you can't pay rent, or you can't help but go into the store and buy something, which was my problem with energy drinks. I was like, oh, you know, I'll stop at the gas station and get an energy drink. It's not a big deal. They're like $3, but like $3 over a month is like $140. So you really got to pick and choose your battles. And whoa. And my thing with weed is, like, I really like it and it helps me, but I have this thing with myself where if I don't have any in my stash, I'm not gonna buy it if I can't afford it. So since I can't afford it, I haven't been shopping at dispensaries lately. Because I'm going through a big, like, actual lifestyle change to get myself on track, and I recommend everyone do the same. Look at your numbers, build a budget, get out of debt, and get better, but that's a completely different conversation. But yeah, if drugs are ruining your life and you're genuinely addicted, get professional help. And if you can wake up every day, handle your shit, your bills are getting paid, you're not in ruining debt, and you're not worried about making rent, you do whatever you feel like you need to do. Accuracy in the testing world is always lucrative, blah blah blah. Some techniques, Ergented said, may be used to artificially inflate test results, including manipulating samples intentionally, resulting in higher... In Colorado, I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. In Colorado, an unscientific study released in February spot-checked potency on packaging for 15 marijuana products and found 80%, 12 products tested more than 15% higher or lower than the label listed in potency. So you can't trust a single bitch out here. Michigan rules allow potency to vary up to 10% from the test results, meaning a 30% strain, if tested, should register between 27 and 33%. Meanwhile, a 2023 published study that evaluated Colorado potency found 70% of 30 tested products inflated THC claims by 15% or more. It's a problem that's been ongoing for several years, said Edgerton? Whatever. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, but I'm illiterate. And it doesn't seem to be getting much better, unfortunately. Heron stands by his work and says it's unlikely swaths between or a 40% plus marijuana strain is going to fill store shelves anytime soon. The Frogurt strain may garner attention, but it's not optimal strain to grow since it's really finicky and doesn't produce much. So you low yielders out there who like to grow plants for like maybe an ounce and a half or something. Endo sold most of the 6.5 pounds produced in the batch, their store, and to a couple other dispensaries. Heron welcomes anyone to double check the results because at the end of the day, I know I didn't do anything wrong. I'd say that's pretty strong statements he's making. I don't know anything like about him, so it's hard to say if I like trust him. But if what he's saying is true, and he had it tested 3 times, and they all came back over 40%, and there isn't anything weird going on behind the scenes or anything like that, like, this could be a big fucking thing. And to happen in my home state, very fucking cool. A little bit of pride. It might be wrong. It might be stupid. But it's very fucking cool. Don't drink alcohol. Much better. 35 years old. Congratulations. That's very cool. I have a pretty... if you're one of the guys who says you can't have a healthy relationship with alcohol, I guess I have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, but I only drink like 5 or 6 times a year. So 5 or 6 out of 365. Like, it's not much. I don't drink a lot. We have a lot of alcohol laying around that's like really old because we just don't get around to like drinking it at all. I know so many people in my life. I have been touched. I've been impacted. Let me change my phrasing there. I've been impacted by alcoholism since the time I was born. So just by witnessing other people's like relationships with alcohol, how they act with it, how much they indulge in it and watching like how it affects people physically, emotionally, financially, I wanted nothing to do with it for a very long time. I've never had like a hangover. Like maybe one time I've had a hangover, like a handful of times maybe. But it's never been anything where I'm like, "Oh, my head. Oh, I want to fucking die." It's just like, "Oh, well, that doesn't feel great." Alcohol is the only drug I haven't liked that much. That's fair. Alcohol is shit, especially if you're like a person who likes to drink beer. If you're one of the beer drinkers who can drink like 20 of them. Cheech and Chong Cosmic Ludes. Is this what it is? Oh, yep. Okay. Kratom. Seven OH chewable tablets. Fucking 10 milligrams. So this is a completely like new thing for me. I don't know a whole lot about it. So Cheech and Chong are selling it. It's right here. Intense physical relief and total euphoria. Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Wisconsin. Very unfortunate for the people who live in those places, who want to get their hands on some kratom. It doesn't have like a lot of information about it on the website, so let's do research. Are there any studies? Crippled cannabis cowboy. What's this permanent marker I keep hearing about? That is a very, very popular strain. We could probably look up a Leafly about it. I'm sorry, I forgot the world isn't all about weed. And you can't just type some shit into Google and be like, oh, here's that strain. You bought your own kratom plants? That's fucking crazy. Permanent marker Leafly. We'll read up a little bit on this just because someone asked about it, and then get on with our degenerate research. Permanent marker is a modern cannabis strain with and is Leafly strain of the year of 2023. Los Angeles indie brand Doja exclusive released the permanent marker weed strain in 2022 on both coasts, bred and grown by Seed Junkie Genetics. Jay Breezy selected by Doja Pack. In the strain fuse several well-established cultivars: Biscotti, Sherb B, and Jealousy. It can smell like permanent marker. Others note that it's floral, soapy, candy, and gassy funk that fully translate into the taste. It has a lingering pungent flavor of soapy funk with a hint of candy and floral tones. The potent strain smells amazing and can support creativity, relaxation, day and night. Just be careful, it's strong. So it has high THC, calming effect, tingly, relaxed, euphoric for feelings in the negative, anxious, dry eyes, dry mouth, and it helps with anxiety, stress, and depression. So that's a little bit on the permanent marker. A little bit about the tastes and flavors and whatnot. What it's helping with. So that's a little bit of the permanent marker. And if you want seeds for it, premium cultivars maybe, Blimburn Seeds, North Atlantic Seed Co., Weed Seeds Express, a couple places you can go. So 7-OH is an emerging botanical agent with potent analgesic effects, making it a promising alternative for treating chronic pain and opioid use disorder. However, more studies are needed to confirm its health benefits and safety. So basically, just a brand new dance. Jesus. 7-hydroxymetagramine? Fuck that word, dude. Let's see if I can actually pull this up. Just going to do a little rant here because I know it's a group that will understand. What is this? Is this the right thing? Is this where I should be to read up on this? Just going to do a little rant here because I know it's a group that will understand. Apologies for the length. I was a habitual opioid user for the last 12 years. What do you mean kratom has always looked like drugs to you? What exactly do you mean by that? I was a habitual opioid user for the last 12 years. Started late at around 27 when my first Norco was a gradual incline, but my 5 years later, I'm entertaining my first inpatient. By 36, I have been to treatment about 5 times and a pretty heavy heroin problem. But my last relapse was around 5 to 6 years ago. I found kratom. Okay. Used it sparingly, abused it at times. Almost got off it during COVID, but just couldn't jump. It started destroying my body so bad, I thought I was having a horrible panic attacks. Stupidly, I got on Valium and then Xanax and realized it was just like kratom. I decided to jump the subtext, which I knew was a bad idea because it was pretty much put to me in rehab in the first place. I spent 5 months on subs, and about 6 months ago I found 7-OHMs. The last 6 months I have been in a battle from hell, continually trying to jump attack on the subs. But I usually last 2 to 3 days at the most. I'm buying back OHMs half the time. I use subs in the morning, and I'm buying OHMs in the afternoon. I've never experienced anything like this. There's a chance it's because they are so easily accessible. These things are awful, and I'm usually taking between 200 to 300 milligrams a day. Not sure anyone feels the same, but I swear the buzz from any dose of kratom is the same. It's not worth it. Getting off these OHMs is horrible. Even 8 milligrams of subs hardly holds me. At the worst, I was slamming 3 grams of dope a day, and I did a 5-day sub taper gradually. Granted, I felt like shit for 3 weeks after, but I can't even get on subs. I hate subs, but I would give anything to just be able to stay on them for a couple weeks and to stabilize myself. I miss my old AA group. I know I need to go back to hard step foot in the room again. All I know is if anyone is starting on this stuff, stay the fuck away. I actually hope it gets banned. I don't want anyone having to go through the same thing I am. If anyone has any help or advice for me, it would be greatly appreciated. Good luck, all of us. Whatever they put in these things is ridiculous. They probably put drugs in there. That might be what it was. So stimulation up with sleep, diarrhea, suffers, kratom. More and more for the same results reminds me of the heroin stories. Yeah, but that's for fucking anything. You can build up a tolerance to pretty much anything. I'm sure we could look up list of drugs you can build tolerance to. Haven't built up a drug tolerance can develop from regular taking certain medications. Learn what to do if your medications aren't working like they used to. A lot of people do claim to build a tolerance to like cannabis, but I haven't. I'm high, but since I'm used to being high pretty often, I'm still able to operate, but that doesn't mean I'm not high. Do you know what I mean? If I had a tolerance for weed, I'd have to smoke 3 joints to start getting high in the morning. Yeah, I don't know if that's how THC tolerance works exactly. I don't know, man. I'm not educated on tolerance. So maybe on images, maybe there will be like a picture of a list. Here's a giant list of drugs that you can build a tolerance to, it looks like. How's it going? Raw Stone Sound System in Suno. Sometimes I do have to smoke 3 joints to get high. That's fucking crazy to me, man. Like, to get there, or to, like, get where you like to be? Like, to get high, or to get, like, intoxicated? Yep, Treenug, we went over that in the Leafly article. Yeah, Permanent Marker, it's one I want to get my hands on. Permanent Marker and Slurricane, I think, are going to be, like, my next 2 that I want to, like, target just for personal use. and like just having a lot of it. So yeah, drug addiction, drug tolerance, it's no joke really. Let's see what the effects of 7-HO are. Pain reduction, mood enhancement, and sedation. Compound found in kratom. Oh, so it's just one of the compounds in kratom. So it's like marijuana's THC. It has opioid-like effects, so can cannabis, to be fair, including pain reduction, mood enhancement, and sedation. However, it can also raise concerns about potential psychological dependence and addiction, which is extremely damaging. To get high, but I enjoy a gram of concentrate a day, so flower sometimes is a chore. Even when I was smoking like purely extracts, I was nervous to go back to actual flower because for me it hits different. And it can actually, for me personally, it can hit harder. Withdrawal symptoms. Can I please just see the image? First opened up here in Michigan and it was fucking good. My lips went numb. First toke. That's fucking wild. I took, I think 2 bong rips this morning and I'm still fucked. I'm thinking about smoking more though, because I have a problem. Yeah, I'm pretty much about the same. Like, the withdrawal symptoms for weed are extremely mild. Opioid withdrawal, insomnia, anxiety, agitation, racing heartbeat, and fever for the first 12 hours to 2 days. 2 days to 7 days, nausea and vomiting. Stomach cramps, goosebumps, crawling skin, depression. 4 hours to 3 days. Or, sorry. Yeah, that's opioid withdrawal. So basically 7-HO since it's a fucking opioid. Essentially. I'm assuming. Symptoms are similar to those of traditional opioids. So there you go. We just went over those. It can include both physical and psychological challenges. Necessitating professional support. Signs of addiction, increased tolerance, neglect of responsibilities, withdrawal symptoms, which reflect growing dependence for the substance. Effective management of 7-HO. Withdrawal requires a combination of medical detox, home and care strategies, and support systems, just as intensive outpatient programs and support groups. Keep the takeaways in mind, although first let's understand exactly what the withdrawal seems to be. So basically, if you've ever had an opioid addiction, you'd be going through the same thing. If you've ever seen an opioid addicted someone, same problem here. We love smoking weed. That's the thing. I go days without smoking and it's fine, but I also have the same tolerance. Yeah, I haven't really built up a tolerance over the years. I just get really high and can operate that way. And for people who are going through opioid addiction and all that nonsense, I feel for you. It's a big reason why I was so like anti-medication, is because I might not have learned from people's financial mistakes. I may not have learned from people's educational mistakes, and I may not have learned from people's other mistakes in life. Trying to come up with other examples. Education and finances are where I struggle the most. But my point is that one of the things that fueled me to stay away from medication is how I grew up watching people go through the struggles of addiction and going through the struggles of not being able to have self-control over what happened to their bodies based on their own actions in the past, and the repercussions of that basically gave me the fuel to stay away from the stuff. So anything like heroin, we talked about alcohol earlier, ketamine is one I don't want to try and I'm not interested in. Just shit like that people take recreationally. Percocet, Molly Percocet, that type of shit. I've never wanted to get into recreational use of opioids, and a big reason for that is just the impact it had on me as a kid. And not all of it was firsthand. I did watch a lot of it on like TV and stuff, and like cops arresting people and just seeing the states that they were in, hearing the stories of people going through withdrawal symptoms and having to get medicated back into real life by going to a rehab center and having to wean themselves off of these drugs. It seemed like a very, very restrictive life. And if I fell into the wrong hands and I didn't hang out with my family as much and stuff like that, my life could have been possibly completely different. But fortunately, I was able to grow up with at least a decent enough head on my shoulders that I didn't fall into any kind of like serious drug addiction. Anti-medication, which is part of why I started Kratom in the first place. When I started, there wasn't much info on it being addictive. Natural way to deal with my pain. Yeah, you got to be careful with that kind of stuff too, because even with that, I knew medication was made up of chemicals, and those chemicals, they had to come from somewhere. You know, like we combined them as human beings, but they had to come from somewhere. And who's to say things that are natural aren't acting exactly the same? Which is why I landed on weed in the first place, was because I could not find anything that, like, yes, it acted as an opioid in the fact that it elevates your mood, it takes away your pain, and it takes away, like, a lot of, like, other bad things about you, and yes, it does have negative side effects and stuff like that. But it's not the same as an opioid where if you just stop smoking it, like, nothing bad's gonna happen. Like, you're not gonna have crazy depression, you're not going to like lose control of yourself, you're not going to start seizing out on the floor and having like cold sweats and shit like that. It was the one thing that I could find that was not only essentially a cure-all, but would also not harm me if I could not afford it. And also, people say it's addictive. You can get addicted to fucking anything. Sure. Me not having an addictive personality, especially around it, other than the fact that I find it so fucking interesting that I'm borderline obsessed with it, but like not actually having to use it if I can't, you know? Like if I can't spend fucking $20 on a vape cart, I'm not gonna. But with heroin and cocaine and stuff like that, it seems like those people will scrounge up anything they can to get it if they're truly addicted to it. They'll lose their job, family, they'll lose their house and their car, they'll lose their children, and they'll do it all for the sake of using opioids for one more day. And that is something that I did not want to see myself go through, and I never wanted to put a family through. So, stay away from opioids, basically, is the message of this video or this live stream. Yeah, it makes it hard to quit because you're not suffering financially, but let me ask you this, Dro. We don't have to go into specifics, but are you over, like... I mean, I'm not even going to say over. Are you in debt? At all? Because a big thing with me, like a big reason I quit caffeine so much and I'm only having homebrewed coffee. Okay, you're out of debt and you got 4K saved up? Hell yeah, man. I mean, if you can do the things and you want to quit ketamine just because you want to do it, personally, I think that should be reason enough. Do you have, like, close family and stuff that this is affecting, or do you have, like, some kind of schedule this is taking away from, or some kind of damage it's doing in your life, or is it like, it's bad so I don't want to do it? Because if that's the case, if I were talking to myself and I were having the conversation with myself and I was looking at Kratom and I was like, this is a thing that I'm having a hard time stopping it. Let me see if my laptop's not plugged in. Let me plug it in real quick, and then we'll get back on topic. I'm having a hard time stopping it, but I have no financial reason to stop it. You hate the withdrawals you get from it. I just want to smoke weed only. Have you ran the experiment to where if you quit ketamine, or not ketamine, Kratom, you quit Kratom, and you say, when I start feeling withdrawal symptoms, I'm going to use cannabis in my preferred method to see if it will help with the withdrawal symptoms. Is that something you've tried? I'm not trying to, for anyone else who's listening and listening to this talk with Dro, I genuinely want to get educated on this because I don't do Kratom. So I'm not familiar with how it affects the body firsthand. I also don't want to sound like I'm insulting Dro in any way. I genuinely just want to have a conversation. Only for like 15 to 20 minutes. How are you using, is it like just the first 20 minutes of the high and then you're like, I want to do Kratom again? Because I also don't want you to die from withdrawal symptoms. I don't know if that's something that's on the table for Kratom either. Here, let's look at it. Because, like, I'm trying to get out of the habit for when I need to make a life change. Okay, so you can't die from it. So, if you know that and you're confident in that, if you wanted to, you would, kind of thing. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say that it doesn't affect you in certain ways. I know quitting drugs is hard as someone who's done that in the past, either temporarily or permanently. It can be hard, for sure. But if it's a change you really want to make in your life and you feel like it would benefit you, to not be doing kratom, I think that's like the big background thing, right? I don't know if you agree with this. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you actually like wanted to, you would. I forgot exactly what I was going to say, but if you had a good enough reason to and you felt like it was going to bring a high enough benefits, you might not quit cold turkey. You might lower your dosage, but you would find a way to take the steps to change it, or at the very least look into the steps you would need to change it. And maybe with kratom it's like such a new thing that people haven't found out methods specifically for that. But even if that is so, seeing that it is so similar to opioids, it seems like you could look up a rehab program and take like the baby steps towards that and be like, I'm going to be free of kratom by fucking September of this year or whatever, if it even needs to be that long. Or if you were going to like want to make the change immediately, you would stop buying it and you would use up what you have and then say, after I'm done with this, I'm going to bite the bullet. But even that sometimes doesn't work out, because then you have it for a time and then you see yourself going low after allowing yourself to use it for, let's say you have a fucking like 2 week supply, right? You go to the store, you buy it, and you're good for 2 weeks. If you are on it for those 2 weeks and you're using the normal dosage, that could lead you to trigger wanting to buy it again. And that trigger would be a lot harder to deal with than just being like, I want to quit this. I know it's not good for me in this, and that way. I want to make these positive changes for myself. I'm going to throw this kratom away right now, and I'm never going to look at it again. Do something drastic. Make a drastic change. Make a giant bullet point on your like life list and say, this is not something I'm going to do. I'm going to take control of my life. I'm going to take those, what'd you say, $50 to $60 a month, and I'm going to do something positive with it. Instead of wasting it on kratom, I'm going to buy a fucking video game that I like to play. I'm going to buy a gym membership so I can get like in shape. I'm going to buy an extra tank of gas so I can go see my friend once a month. I'm going to work more hours at work because I can travel more and make more money than the the fucking $50 to $60 a month I'm spending on kratom. I'm going to do any amount of thing. $50 to $60 is a way more significant amount of money than people believe. And if you don't believe that, imagine being $50 to $60 short on rent when it's due tomorrow. That's fucking significant. And just because you have $4,000 saved up now, I'm going to assume you're like in your mid-20s. That is maybe an emergency fund for like a month and a half. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even really, unless that's just like pure savings and you have like a savings account and then you have an emergency fund and then you have like a 401k. You justified it as you spent more on weed than you did before growing. So instead of saving the money from growing and having that benefit, you traded saving the money for spending it on something else. You see how that's not good, right? Like, were you doing kratom before? And it was like a life change you made once you started growing your own weed? Or was it like I've been doing kratom, but now I'm saving? To be fair, I was spending it on both before. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit different, since you've been doing kratom, the whole time. But then you only made life change. Like one life change. You didn't make two, you know what I mean? Like you didn't double move it. That's crazy, man. That's a crazy life you got there. I don't want to I don't want to feel like I'm like drilling your life choices or anything. I don't think it's a positive thing you're doing. You're an adult. You can make your own decisions. If you feel like losing the $50 to $60 a month isn't significant enough to want to make that change, and that's the only thing that's like it's like the only thing you're happy. Like if you're happy now, you're not gonna change. You know what I mean? And if you don't want to change, that's no big deal. It doesn't affect me. I do want to learn more about kratom addiction. That's why I had that conversation, and I thank you for your time and your chats and everything, and actually answering my questions and being cooperative. That's very interesting what you're going through, and I hope that you're able to make the change if you really want to, and if not, I hope you can live contently doing what it is that you're doing, because like I just wanted you to be happy with whatever you're doing. Because if you're doing it and you're miserable, then yeah, you should obviously quit. But if you're doing it and you're like, it's no big deal to me, then it's no fucking big deal. Like, you can have a healthy relationship with anything. You know what I mean? You just have to take personal responsibility for it. And that's something that's like blanket over anything. Like, I'm sure someone out there, I have never seen it. Well, I can't say I've never seen it. People take the drugs they're prescribed and then quit them all the fucking time. But I don't see a lot of healthy relationships with opioids and stuff, unfortunately. So the only positive kratom had for me is I quit doing hard drugs because I was doing like everything under the sun before I started doing kratom. Okay, so you have a history of drug use. You made the positive change to quit all the other stuff, and I mean, good for you. Yeah, that's a lot of positive change, and I think commend you for that is the right word. Congratulations. That's something to be extremely happy about. And if kratom is that one thing standing in the way of you, okay, I'm going to try to explain this as well as I possibly can, but if you started taking kratom and quit all the other stuff, and kratom right now is the one thing standing in your way from like keeping you from going back into that world, then sure, you should absolutely keep doing kratom. But if you feel like you can quit kratom and then not fall back into your old habits because it's been so long, I don't see what's stopping you, frankly, but it's not my call to make. I'm not your dad. Here, I'm going to take a minute and plug my community Discord if you guys want to have chats when I'm offline, talk about your plants, share pictures, ask advice, and anything like that. This will be the place to do that. Hope to see you guys there. I always enjoy having conversations. I deleted all my plugs numbers so I don't see myself going back to the hard stuff. That shit was expensive as fuck too. Yeah, I was offered cocaine before. I hung out with the dealer. I'm not gonna give any information or anything like that, but I hung out with a cocaine dealer and he held up like this like small ball of cocaine. I was like, oh, this big. He was like, dude, do you know how much this is? I was like, no, I don't know the street value of cocaine. And he was like, this is like $365 or something like that. Some ridiculous fucking number. I remember it was over $300. And I was like, God fucking damn, dude. People are really spending that much money on that shit? I could never. Like, that fucking jar of cocaine that Johnny Depp had in his house, that shit must have been worth like tens of thousands of dollars. I've been trying to get a handle on this. Someone suggested as bad as hydromorphine? Hydromo... Jesus. That fucking shit. Others have said minimal, but 2 bit worse than kratom. Say it's quite a spectrum. I've been experimenting for the first time. 7-OH is absolutely strong, and I had threshold effects at an eighth of 70 or 7 OHM's tablet, even moving up to half a couple of days later. I can tell there still aren't quite fully like a proper and full agnostic opioid. I've withdrawed multiple times off 200 to 300 milligrams of oxy a day, and managed kratom at about 2 milligrams, and I can't imagine 7-HO is that bad unless it's tonic activity at the wow, these are a lot of fucking new words, man. Opioids never got rid of your pain. It doesn't work for everybody, man. It doesn't work the same for everybody. 200 milligrams. Activity like tenipatine, and you get a combined withdrawal still, and it could be my tolerance of opioids, but I haven't really noticed the kind of agnostic activity, agnosis activity one experiences with oxycodone. For example, I made a comparison one other time, but it feels like Jesus Christ. Does anyone know all of these fucking opioid names? That's interesting. Partial versus a full. Yeah, probably because it's a concentrate, essentially, of what makes it opioid-like. Feel the urge to redose. Simple substance is very addictive. Body buzz, pain relief were the strongest effects. I noticed growing up in dose seemed to increase the body high, but I didn't get any real euphoria or anything. Just a pleasant and strong body buzz and a decent mood lift. Kind of like kratom, but stronger. Its effects suggest of it being a stronger opioid in a higher dose. Sorry to ramble, but this turned more into a general thoughts than... yeah. Drugs. Antagonist. Yeah, it seems like if I started doing kratom, it would be a not a great thing to do. I don't think I would enjoy it after learning what I've been learning about it. I think I might as well ought to just stop, like, keep smoking weed. But does anyone have anything else they want to look into? Any interesting drug science, marijuana news that they heard lately? Because if not, I think I'm going to wrap it up and start getting shit done for the day. It was nice talking to y'all. It was nice having a good time talking about high potency cannabis and also kratom for a little while. Tried every drug that was available in high school, and now I just smoke weed. Hey man, some people go through that. Fortunately, I didn't try a lot of drugs. I tried LSD, mushrooms, weed, caffeine, and whatever other stimulants come in pre-workout. And I've also like done prescribed opioids and stuff like that, and those were never fun. So I never had a problem with them. I've never had to deal with an opioid addiction, fortunately, and I've just been all right with marijuana and caffeine, and that's pretty much it. But hey, I hope y'all have a wonderful day. I had a fantastic time hanging out and talking with you guys. And if anyone here is new, hit that subscribe button. If you guys have not yet, leave a like on this live stream. It really helps out. If anyone wants to help out with stuff financially, going back into the channel or getting genetics or grow equipment, go ahead and leave some donations, super thanks, super chats, stuff like that would be fantastic. Maybe even join the membership program and get exclusive perks and early videos and stuff like that. But I was on 325 of fentanyl, 180 milligrams extended morphine, and about 150 of instant morphine per day. My cancer pain at the time. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. That pain and that addiction also. It's a very rough fucking life. I hope you're doing a lot better now. Well, I'm glad you're doing a lot better now, it seems. You seem like a very positive person on chat and everything like that, and from what it sounds like, you're living a pretty happy life, so I'm really glad. I withdraw after about a year and a half, 2 years. It was not fun. It doesn't sound fun, man, to withdraw from something for that long, for something you probably didn't even do for that long. Unless you did it all through high school, which is like 4 years and then like 2 years of withdrawal symptoms. That's like fucking 6 years of consequence, basically. That's how it can get you, man. That's how it can get you. Using this stuff casually is, it can be a recipe for disaster. Okay. Yeah, no, it doesn't sound like a fun time. I'm sorry you had to deal with that, but I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much.